Folks, welcome into That Betting Show for April 18th, 2019, your one-stop shop for all your sports betting needs. He's Teddy Severansky. Give him a follow on Twitter at Teddy_Covers. I'm Donnie Seymour at Rightside VP. Teddy, we got to get into it right away. Twitter was a storm last night, and rightfully so. Again, let's not even forget that the fourth quarter lead melted down. Let's get to the crux of it. We're bettors. We're in the situation. We're ready to go. Teddy, please tell me the statistical advantages here that we take a look at up to with the ball getting 7.5 with under a minute to go, and it's a losing ticket.
It's an impossible cover. I mean, it really is. I was trying to decide whether this was a worse beat than anyone that had a Purdue ticket against Virginia in the NCAA tournament. It's of that level. It could be the worst beat in basketball all season. Indiana's got the lead in the ball with under a minute to go. They're plus 7.5. They're down by 3 with the ball with 12 seconds left. You cannot not cover plus 7.5. You can't do it. How'd they do it? Well, they forgot to foul. They failed to foul the and one. Then another turnover on the following possession, which meant they had to foul immediately. And then Hayward sinks the 2 free throws. That's just brutal. I didn't have action on the game. My condolences to anyone that had Indiana plus the points last night. That's as rough as it gets. You will see those in the NBA playoffs. You'll see them, unfortunately, more often than you expect. Take a breath. Take a chill. It's the next morning. If you had Indiana, doesn't mean sports betting's brutal. Well, it is brutal, but these beats can and will happen. You have to psychologically be able to handle them if you're going to do this long term. It's brutal. Go out and smash something for 5 minutes, but don't let it affect you the next day and the day after and the day after that. You're allowed to have a moment. You're not allowed to have 3 days off a brutal bad beat.
Yeah, like everything has to go against you if you have that Pacers ticket. The 2 worst things that could have happened, Teddy, is especially when you're up 2 with the basketball, it's almost better that if you just took a shot clock violation and the game stopped and they had to inbounds the ball, being the Celtics, and go full court. But you get the block, it turns into a fast break the other way. Then it's a 3-point game on the inbounds. Let's just say you inbound it, Teddy, at the top of the key, take 2 or 3 dribbles, fire a 3, and even if you miss it, that's a 4.5 second play if the Indiana Pacers would foul directly right after the miss. But the fact that it goes out of bounds, no time goes off the clock and gives an extra possession to the Celtics. We see it time and time again, but it's just interesting, Teddy. In the NBA, when you have the timeout and you get to advance it into the front court, oh my goodness, that game hurt.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's back-to-back turnovers where no time went off the clock for Indiana at all, and they had to foul, and they were unable to foul the one, which led to the and one situation, which led to the fact that they won by 8 instead of winning by 7. Look, it's just freaking brutal. There's nothing you're going to do about it. They're going to happen once in a while. I'm sorry. What else are you going to say?
Yeah, no, it was definitely brutal because when you take a look at it, the one thing we as sports gamblers have to do, you have to have that short memory. Never say this, Teddy, I'm never betting on those Pacers again. But if they do have value in the next night or the next game, you better be back on that wagon here. NFL schedule release on Wednesday night. Oh, we all there gathered around. A lot of smoke, a lot of fire, but not really a lot of meaning in this. But the Cleveland Browns seem to be the media darlings now, grabbing 4 primetime games. Teddy, going to play the Jets, Rams, 49ers, and Steelers under the bright light. Some interesting stuff as we talked about previously here on That Betting Show. The Bears play host to the Packers to open the 100th season of the NFL. Some interesting, little caveats in the scheduling here. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Teddy, not really good if you're looking to make the playoffs. You'd have a 6-week stretch where you don't have a true home game.
Yeah, I mean, you'll always find these quirks in the schedule, and this is something that if you're a serious NFL bettor, certainly when it comes to futures, you're going to pay a lot of attention to with win totals. All that being said, yeah, the Browns are on TV a bunch of times this year. They're the favorites to win the AFC North. Don't take Cleveland lightly. And, of course, the books wasted no time whatsoever. We've got week sides and total, week 1 sides and totals posted for every single game. We'll talk about that later in the show.
Crazy, Teddy. What are we dating back to? Webster Slaughter, Frank Minifield, Bernie Kosar back here. The Browns are actually favored to win the division. Pitch me and wake me up. It's been a long time, but it should be a fun football season and them leading the charge. How about this, Teddy? Sometimes I think we might be in the wrong business here. How about me and you practice up and get our Jeopardy skills in order? Because James Holhauser yesterday takes down $131,000 in a single episode, bringing his total to just under $700,000, Teddy. And when you try to break that down, he's only working in half-hour increments here, Teddy. Not a bad living he's about to make just off Jeopardy.
No, it sure isn't. It's a nice gig if you can get it. Remember, Ken Jennings, the all-time Jeopardy leader, won $2.5 million over a 74-game winning streak. Holzhauer's on pace to surpass his all-time winnings in just 36 games, less than half of what Jennings did it in. And Jennings was as good a Jeopardy contestant as any of us has ever seen. Holzhauer shattering some records, a guy to pay attention to, and someone, unfortunately, who's making sports bettors a little bit more recognizable. Sometimes we like to stay anonymous as we bounce around Las Vegas.
Teddy, 40 for 40, a perfect game. Basically what he did throw yesterday. The thing I feel bad for most about is if you do watch Jeopardy or Jeopardy watcher, my mother-in-law loves it. The people that go on the show, Teddy, and run up against that buzzsaw seemingly has the similar effect to a sports gambler that says, you know what, I'm going to lay 3.5 with the Eagles, and they're down 35-0 by the end of the first quarter. Tough beat, Teddy, if you're going to have that gig going up against this kid, huh?
Yeah, no doubt. You finally get on Jeopardy, and then guess what? You go up against the all-time greatest contestant or one of the all-time greatest contestants. No question. That, too, a bad beat for any of the alternate contestants.
There you go. We always worked in that sports gambling angle here. Take a look at last night's action in MLB, Teddy. 7 favorites win by 1 run, which if you're betting the money line, that's fantastic. But if you're looking to double down and get that extra money on the game, usually a run line is going to incur playing plus 110, plus 120, plus 130, give that added benefit. But in these situations last night, Teddy, run line disappearing here with the amount of value it has. Ouch.
Yeah, exactly. If you were a run line bettor on the favorites last night, you did not enjoy the final results. Of course, when you have 7 favorites winning by exactly 1 run, that's a rare night. But it also correlates heavily with the totals. Totals went 12-2 to the under last night. And yeah, there's a lot of correlation between favorites covering on the run line and games going over and vice versa. That's why you can't parlay run lines with totals. Books did well on the run line bettors last night. And if you're laying a 1.5, well, there's always a new day today.
Overnight line movers here on That Betting Show. Where's the best place to check out the odds and live movements all day long, all night long, 365, 24/7? That's SBRodds.com. Let's get into some of these games. Pineda and the Twins line on the movie. Offshore markets opened up minus 160, even got north of 180, but seemed to be peeled back, still sitting around that minus 170 mark. Blue Jays and the Twins, Buckholz and Pineda on the mound tonight.
Yeah, we're 3 weeks into the MLB season, and from here on out, you can count on the majority of MLB line moves will be either injury-related or starting pitching-related. This one, most assuredly, starting pitching-related. Yeah, Clay Buchholz has some good numbers. Well, he had 1 start, and he pitched well through 6 quality innings against the Rays last week. Didn't walk anyone, struck out 2, 1 run on 6 hits in that outing. But we're talking about a 34-year-old veteran who was injured in spring training, wasn't signed until March for Toronto. And, oh, by the way, his fastball, which used to be in the upper 90s, well, he didn't top 90 miles an hour on the radar gun against the Rays. The markets definitely react to pitchers whose velocity appears to be down. Clay Buchholz, one of those pitchers, hence the money coming on Minnesota.
Christopher Paddock getting a lot of looks here early, the young right-handed pitcher for the San Diego Padres, getting some line movement today, Ted. If we take a look at SBRodds.com, lines open around 135, 140 offshore. Now sitting at Pinnacle at minus 170, Chris at 168, betonline.ag at 166 with a total of 7.5. Roark versus Paddock tonight, San Diego.
Yeah, the markets don't like Roark, and they haven't liked Roark. And Roark, he pitched well this past Saturday, but prior to that, he had a real rough start to the season. 13 hits, 5 walks in just 9 1/3 innings over his first 2 starts. So he's not a hurler that the markets tend to like. On the other side, Paddock has been great so far. And 3 runs, 6 hits, 15 strikeouts in 14 innings, a $1.29 ERA, and 0.85 WHIP. The markets like that. The guy with a mid-90s fastball and a nasty changeup is attracting betting market attention and early betting action on Thursday.
We'll preview this NBA game we're about to go over in just a few more moments more in depth. But the Spurs-Nuggets total on the move, Teddy. Defense is apparent what gamblers want out there. Markets opened up at 212. Now that sits around 208. Spurs-Nuggets minus 3.5. Moneyline split plus 155, minus 175. Series tied at 1-1. Pivotal game 3.
Yeah, and this is a big wise guy move. What they saw in game 2 was Denver playing at their pace and then dominating the game thereafter, obviously holding the Spurs to 27 points in the last 16 minutes of that ball game. Denver slows the pace. This game's staying under. The markets are certainly expecting a similar strategy tonight with the big wise guy playing the under for this one.
Teddy, the NBA blesses us once again with a triple header tonight. Let's take a look at the first game in action on the East Coast. Sixers invade the Brooklyn Nets with the series tied. Pivotal game 3, as we're going to take a look at here. Some trash talking going on back and forth. You saw the elbow from Joel Embiid. Didn't go over kindly in that Nets locker room. Chris Dudley returns fire with Ben Simmons. Says, yeah, he's a good player in transition, but in the half court, he's not really all that good. Sixers Nets tonight, line plus 3.5 for the Nets total, 228.5. Money line split minus 145 plus 125. 8 p.m. tonight, Sixers on the season, 39-45 against the number. Nets 46-38 against the spread on the season here tonight, as well as coming in. But however, 9-10 against the number as a home dog.
Yeah, this is a hard game. It's not a game I personally have any action on whatsoever. The Nets have this game triple circled, returning back home to Brooklyn, their first playoff game at home in 5 years. The quotes are coming out of Brooklyn after their game 2 defensive debacle are, hey, we can play a lot better than that. You know, Kenny Atkinson. One thing about the Brooklyn Nets, they've always bounced back, always responded after a game like this. I expect our guys to respond. We go back to Brooklyn. The old story, if you would have told us before we're splitting here in Philly, I think we'd be happy. But I'm not pleased with the way we presented ourselves. We were below average, quite honestly. D'Angelo Russell talking about the home crowd. Very, very excited. I know the Barclays Center is going to be jumping in there. Our fans are hungry. I know our fans are going to treat them well. We're excited about that. Get back home. Take care of the home court. The buzz around the city is what we need. We need that atmosphere. We need that energy to be up like that. So the quotes from Jersey are positive. Brooklyn are positive. They're certainly capable of playing a better game than they did on the defensive end. Joel Embiid is still very questionable for Philly, how much he's going to play, if he's going to be effective while he's on the floor. The concerns about Embiid are still one of these game time decisions we're not going to know prior to tip-off. All that being said, there was some stuff that happened in game 2 that I don't know the Nets can fix. You know, Philly plus 21 on the glass, and that's a problem. You know, the Sixers, an excellent rebounding team, a very physical team. The Nets, not so much in that regard. And that is, if Philly's going to dominate the paint, they score 62 points in the paint in game two. If they come close to that tonight, the Nets are going to be hard pressed. They're going to need to hit threes. And remember, they hit 15 threes in game 2, and they didn't come close. The Nets got to make the adjustments on the defensive end in order to cash in, and they have to figure out some way to stop Philadelphia from garnering every rebound. I don't know if the Nets can do that. So it's a Nets spot, but Philly's the better team. Fascinating game to consider. Fascinating game total to consider. But this is one for me that certainly at tip-off, I don't expect to have a wager on it. Maybe we'll find something in game.
Game 3, Teddy Spurs Nuggets. We just previewed the total, but there's actually another line movement that we didn't check out quite a bit here. Nuggets and Spurs tonight. If we look offshore, Teddy, Chris opened up at -2. That now sits at 4.5 with even more money coming on. Looks like 4.5 is now the prevailing number at SBRodds.com. Moneyline split plus 155, minus 175. 9 p.m. tonight, NBA TV. Nuggets are 43 and 42. How about that for a tongue twister, Teddy? 43 and 41 against the number on the season. We got it. Spurs are 44 and 38 against the number on the season, as well as 16 and 16 as a home favorite. Line movement in both directions, Teddy. Number coming down on the total. Number going higher on the side for the home team.
Yeah, and of course, you know, with all 3 games that we're talking about today, we're talking about games in which the zigzag was in play between game 1 and game 2. The team that covered game 1 did not cover game 2 and vice versa. That obviously wasn't the case last night, where all the teams that covered game 1 came back and covered game 2. But this is one series, and so far the 3 we're talking about, that have all been zigzag so far. When we think about what happened in game 2, where Denver, you know, they trailed all game 1 by margin throughout. They trailed most of game 2 by margin and then put together a big rally, starting in the third and in the fourth, outscoring the Spurs, 56-27 down the stretch of that ball game. Denver controlled the pace in that contest, and certainly down the stretch of that game. And that's huge in this contest. I do think side and total are related. San Antonio wants to play a little bit faster. They're not an elite defensive team. Denver is a pretty elite defensive team. And while they push the pace on offense, they really want to force teams into half-court sets on the defensive end. So it's a contrast in styles here, for sure. Denver's had a brutal time in San Antonio. They lost 13 straight meetings on this floor. You look at the quotes from the Spurs. DeMar DeRozan. We made a few mistakes offensively, whether it was a turnover, didn't execute, didn't get a good look. They came down with a lot of momentum. Jamal Murray got extremely hot, made some big buckets down the stretch. We got game one. We fought, tried to get game two, but we got home court shifting our way. Now it's on us to go home and do what we need to do. Understand if we take care of home like we've been doing all year, we can come back here with an opportunity. We feel great where we're at. We understood it wasn't going to be a cakewalk. All that's totally true. And yet this line's gone from 2 to 3 to 4, now 4.5. I know they've lost 13 straight on this floor. And I know prior to the series, I said, I like San Antonio. I don't like the Spurs at this price. If I'm playing tonight, I'll look at the Denver side. Unfortunately, the under has already seen a lot of the value taken out of it. But frankly, I wouldn't argue looking in that direction either.
How about the final game of this triple-header tonight out on the West Coast? Going to the Clippers are the Warriors and looking to erase that bad Game 2 collapse. 31-point lead disappears in that game. Currently lined, the Warriors are favored by 8.5, total of 235. Moneyline split minus 415, plus 345. The interesting thing about this game, Teddy, is that there's a lot of trash talk going on, almost similar to the Sixers-Nets series where Patrick Beverley getting inside, quote-unquote, the jockstrap of Kevin Durant, trying to get under his skin and make him play. Maybe there is a little bit something to that, but do we get a refocused Warrior squad heading into this game? Because, hey, look, we know we're the champions. We stepped out on the court. We had a 31-point lead, sort of let it get away from us. Now we had on the road, and this series is tied 1-1. Pivotal game 3 down in L.A. Should be a fun one to watch, Teddy. You're going to have another Monster Ultra Zero for me to stay up and watch this one, but I think it might be worth it here.
That's why you should be in Vegas, man. In Vegas, all right, the game ends at 10 o'clock, 10:30. No big deal. It's not like this 1:30 a.m. finishes for you guys on the East Coast. Now, look, the Warriors are better than the Clippers. You look at the series price right now, Golden State's still, in the 25-1 range to win the series, even after the series is tied 1-1. The Warriors have won 8 of the last 9 times they played in L.A. against the Clips at the Staples Center. Here's a quote from Klay Thompson. We have a lot of experience. This is the first time we've been tied in a series since Game 7 of last year's Western Finals against Houston, a game that the Warriors won. I know we'll bounce back. We're too prideful not to. Of course they're too prideful not to. Of course, they also haven't been able to stop Lou Williams or Montrezl Harrell in either game. And, of course, it's an issue for Golden State with some of these matchups defensively. They haven't brought, or certainly in the back end. I mean, what they give up? They give up 72 points in the final 19 minutes of play. Not even a half. When you're giving up 72 points in 19 minutes, you're obviously facing a team that's got a bunch of hot shooters, but you're not playing the level of defense that we expect from Golden State. I would anticipate the Warriors to bring it on that, and they've been very good to the under off a loss all a season long. All that being said, from a side perspective, look, I mean, there's no bargains here on Golden State, as fired up as they are. And the quotes from LA aren't, we're laying down. Here's Doc Rivers. That's not enough for us, the one win in Game 2. We didn't come here for just one win. They have expectations. This team does too. No one wants to agree with us, and that's fine. We're fine with that. We have our own expectations, and we're going to keep them. I would not be shocked if the Clips give the Warriors a game tonight. I know they were down 31. I question Golden State right now a little bit. It's looking like the Warriors are more vulnerable now than probably at any point over the last 4 postseasons, and the Rockets are playing pretty darn well, looming in the future for Golden State.
Off the mic section today, Teddy. Early lines are out in the NFL. Yes. Head up to the, your sports book, offshore, wherever you place those wagers, and get those in right away, Teddy, because these lines are going to be moving here. It is interesting to see some of these lines go out, and also the full games. Not too long off, Teddy. We'll get the college football games of the year out to gamble on. Some of the quick ones that are out: Bears minus 3.5 opening night versus the Packers, and the Patriots on Sunday Night Football favored by 6.5. But we got an entire length, Teddy. If there's going to be some value, you can go ahead. I'm a precautionary gambler. I like to wait after the draft, wait to see all the major trades go down. Does somebody get dinged up in the preseason? But I know people like to jump on some of these lines thinking they have some value early, Teddy.
Yeah, let me run through them real quick. Obviously, you talked about the opener, the Thursday night opener with the Bears, 3.5 and 46. I'm going to give the lines. I'll just use the Westgate here in Vegas as the lines I'm going to use. Obviously, lines vary slightly from book to book. It's not like the markets are mature on any of these games just yet, but it's NFL Week 1 lines. We love to talk about them. All right, Sunday, we've got the Vikings 547.5 against the Falcons. Philadelphia at home 946.5 against the Redskins. The Jets 3.5 point chalk against the Buffalo Bills, total 38.5. Again, these Week 1 numbers. Baltimore road favorites at Miami, -3.5, 37 the total. Tampa, 2-point home chalk over San Fran, total 49. The Chiefs are -5 on the road at Jacksonville, total 52.5. Browns -5 at home against Tennessee. Browns -5 at home, total 45.5. Rams, 2.5-point road favorites at Carolina, total 51. Pick 'em between Arizona and Detroit. That's in Arizona, total of 49. Seattle, 7.5, 43.5 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Chargers, 3.5 and 48 against Indy. I can tell you right now, I'm going to be on Indy in that ball game. I expect to be on Indy in that ball game. I might want to grab some 3.5 now. Good call, Teddy. 7.5, the Cowboys favored against the Giants. 46.5 the total. That's the TV game on Sunday afternoon. Sunday night, Patriots, 6, 51.5 against the Steelers at home. And the two Monday night games, you have New Orleans, -7.5, 54 in the early game against Houston. Of course, they open up the season with that Monday Night Football doubleheader. The late game, the Raiders are favored, -2.5 at home against the Denver Broncos, total of 43. There are your week one openers. Go to town, guys. I like the Colts, +3.5.
It should be a lot of fun, Teddy. And look, I know a lot of people love the summer. My wife loves the summer. My daughter loves the summer. I'm not one of those people, Teddy. If it would be okay if we went to sleep tonight after the Golden State Warriors game and woke up and it was August to get ready for preseason football, I would be just fine with that. But hey, we're working hard on that betting show. We'll be here with you for the next few months. And keep in mind also, as Teddy brought up as well, we're going to be previewing the NFL teams starting next month in the month of May. Stay with us on that betting show. Thanks for tuning in today, April 18th, 2019. Your one-stop shop for all your sports betting needs. He's Teddy Safransky. Give him a follow once again on Twitter at Teddy_Covers. I'm Donnie Seymour, right side VP. We'll be back tomorrow to recap what happened in the NBA and get you moving forward to the weekend. It's Friday, people. Have a good night.